Happy Batman Day, everyone. Today is the day where we celebrate the greatest detective of all time. Sherlock Holmes got nothing on Bruce Wayne Batman. That's right. Today we're going to celebrate the Caped Crusader. I thought it would be a great day to discuss how I got into Batman. Since I was a kid, since I can remember, I was a fan of Batman. I also want to hear from you in the comments. You can even leave me a voicemail. There's a little voicemail link in the description about how you became a fan of Batman. And I'll play it on an upcoming show of The Watchtower. So let's get into it because, honestly, I think it's really cool that we have days like this where we can celebrate some of the greatest comic book creations of all time. Now, for me, my earliest memory of Batman isn't a comic, isn't being in a comic shop, but it's of me sitting on my father's lap as a toddler. We were watching reruns of the old Adam West Batman shows, sitting on his lap, eating some cookies, and just having a good time. When you're 2-3 years old, because believe it or not, I do remember that from that young. My father passed away when I was 4 years old, and not just when I was just like late in my fours. No, he died 12 days after my 4th birthday. So when I was like 2 or 3 years old, I remember sitting on his lap watching Batman. But when you're that young, it's like the greatest thing in the world. You're seeing these colorful villains, these weird gadgets, the BAMs, the pals, and most importantly, it was just time with my father. You get to share that hero from his childhood. And I got to discover my hero as well. We can fast forward a little bit to 1989, Tim Burton's Batman. Okay, because for me, that was the next experience I have with Batman. Again, still not comics, still not anything else. I was only a few years old. Like I was actually 4 when 1989 came around, but I then saw that movie in the theaters, this time on somebody else's lap. I was on my mother's lap watching that movie in the theaters. Maybe I was a little too young for it, but I do remember going to the theater to see that movie. And here's the kicker. I fell asleep during it. It was a little too adult for me. It was a little too much, but I do remember going to see that movie. But from that moment forward, Batman never left my soul. Like it was there. Like Batman was always there for me. Then you have the Batman, the animated series, the roller coaster of movies from Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. And look, to this day, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I want to say something controversial. The Batman Forever theme, better than what Danny Elfman made. Look, come at me. The theme, dun, 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 so much better than what the theme is that Danny Elfman made from Batman and Batman Returns. Come at me. I love Batman Forever. I think it's a great film. Val Kilmer's fantastic. I watched that movie over and over and over again as a kid. It was just so much fun. Not to mention how often I would sit there and watch Batman, the animated series. If I saw it on Fox Kids, I was watching it. That show just took me away. But still, I wasn't into the comics. I wasn't. Look, I get it. Batman had no powers. And as a kid, I couldn't fully wrap my head around the trauma that he had of losing his parents. Even, like I said, after losing my father at 4 years old, I still didn't wrap my head around that trauma. But what I did understand was simple, though. He's just a man. He is just a man who decided to turn his pain into purpose. He stood for what was right when the world made it easy to fall into the wrong. That's a lesson kids don't always hear loud enough. And Batman screamed it through the darkness. Now, let's not mince words. Batman is the man, and Bruce Wayne is the mask. That's kind of the duality in what makes him endlessly fascinating. He isn't pretending to be Batman. He's not. he's pretending to be Bruce. People love to talk about the Joker, and yeah, to a sense, he's a top-tier villain. But after years of oversaturation, I've come to realize that Batman's greatest enemy really isn't the Joker. It's not the Riddler. It's not Bane. It's not Ra's al Ghul. It's actually himself. His inability to let go of his past, his refusal to find peace. That's the real tragedy of The Dark Knight. I mean, if you really got to think about it, like that is the tragedy of who Bruce Wayne Batman is. He's on a mission that he won't allow himself to end. And that's just heartbreaking. And then there's Gotham. The question now is, did Gotham create Batman or did Batman create Gotham? And I get it. I know the death of his parents and Crime Alley, that's kind of what created Batman. But what I mean is, did Gotham facilitate Batman? Did it continue Batman to grow into what he is? Or did Batman create the villains within Gotham? Because if you think about it, Gotham is sort of incomplete without the Dark Knight. It's sort of the chicken and the egg question of comic book lore. If there was no Batman in Gotham, would you have the Riddler? Would you have the Clayfaces, the Two-Faces, the Jokers and the Banes and things like that? Like, if there was no Batman, would you have that? And that's a good question. Because some of those characters are only there because of Batman. Some of them could have been killed, put away forever, put away for good, if they would have come up. Some of them only escape, or, once they get put away, only escape to go after Batman again. It's a very interesting question. Like I said, it's the chicken and the egg of DC Comics, or really comic book lore. What makes Batman transcend is his determination. He does what is right no matter the consequences, even when it costs him his happiness. We see this in other comics with other superheroes, sure. But this is more inspiring and heartbreaking at the same time. His mission is heroic, but it's also very, very tragic because he never gives himself permission to stop. For me, Batman shines brightest as a mentor. His bond with Dick Grayson, which is my favorite version of the character of Robin. Batman alone, he's compelling, but Batman with Robin is something else entirely. A reminder that even the darkest hero needs light beside him. So why does Batman endure after more than 80 years when so many fade away? It's simple, really. Adaptability. From Adam West's camp to Tim Burton's gothic vision, Schumacher's neon fever dream, Nolan's gritty realism, and even Snyder's Bruiser Bat, Batman evolves with the times. He reflects whatever era he inhabits while still feeling timeless. That's why generations keep rediscovering him. And if you really need one final argument why Batman is the greatest, nay, not just the greatest detective, but the greatest superhero, look at his pop culture footprint. Comics, multi-$100 million movies, Saturday morning cartoons, Halloween costumes, kids clutching Batman figures like it's gospel. Sure, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man have had their moments at the top, but none of them had that staying power, that cultural dominance, that raw, mythic energy of the Dark Knight. Batman isn't just a hero. He's a phenomenon. And that's why he'll always be the greatest. Look, whether you agree or not, Batman is one of, if not the greatest superhero of all time. I think he's the greatest. I think he's fantastic. I've loved Batman since I was a little kid. But I want to know when you were introduced to Batman. When did you start reading the comics? When did you start watching the movies or the animated shows? For me, it started with Adam West. It went into the animated series and it went through the movies and everything like that. I eventually got into the comics in my teens. But I want to know from you, when did you start getting into Batman? And what is your favorite Batman series or comic run or movie, whatever it is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with all that said, guys, I will check you all out later.